Republican versus Democrat, liberal versus conservative, a tale as old as time, an agenda pushed more times than speeding tickets that I have received, that of which is 0. Now, I'm glad to say that I am neither Republican nor Democrat, neither liberal nor conservative, neither left nor right. It's time that I finally reveal that I'm a centrist. I know, it's painful to say even for a bit, but it's true, for the sake of said bit. In fact, I'm so moderate that some even call me Malcolm in the Middle. The only difference being I don't break the law for a living. And all he does is make left turns. Radical. Whenever I reach a left or right turn, I refuse to choose. I'll go straight, thank you very much, without speeding. That's why I think I'm perfect to cover today's topic. I'm unbiased, simple as that. And I'm a safe driver, 2 in 1. And we all know that 2 divided by 1 is 2, not 1. But if I were to ever say that 2 divided by 1 is 1, maybe you could just consider I was doing it for the bit, not because I'm bad at math, but because the character I'm portraying is bad at math. Just save me the embarrassment, please. I read the comments, okay? You're really making me feel like a college dropout here. So there's this new movie out, and I have to be very secretive here because they could be watching. But this movie exposes the woke mob for who they are. And because of that, they, the Hollywood elites, are doing everything in their power to try to stop you from watching this movie. They're not advertising it anywhere. They're turning off the AC in theaters. And that's it. But that just goes to show that they don't want the truth to be revealed. They want to keep it hidden, and who knows what they'll try next. God forbid they leave the lights on. Oh wait, they already did that. It's absolute lunacy, absolute hypocrisy, just what the radical left wants to keep hidden. This movie is called Surf's Up 2 Wave Mania, and it is the coolest movie I've ever seen. They have a bunch of wrestlers as characters. Did anyone else watch the first one and think that all it needs is to be completely different and then change the cast to real wrestlers? Because I sure did. Okay, I'm joking, unfortunately, as much as I would love to talk about Surf's Up 2. I have an adult job, and I need to be responsible and dress up as a Republican and talk about The Sound of Freedom. The Sound of Freedom is a thriller based on events surrounding a man named Tim Ballard. Tim Ballard is a man that, in short, has saved children that were being trafficked. Now, just to preface, I think that's a good thing. I don't think anyone, children or adult, should be trafficked for labor reasons or sexual reasons or any other reasons, okay? But I do think that we can critique a movie for its perspective, intent, and performativity while still thinking that human trafficking is bad. So if you're here to just say, oh, you don't like the movie, you support human trafficking, you can not do that, please. In fact, one of my biggest critiques of this film, the people that made it and the people that enjoy it, is that it feels like it's all being pushed as part of an agenda. Because I hardly ever hear these same people discussing the sexual abuse of detained immigrant children at the border, or countless children that were preyed upon by Catholic priests or Mormon ministers. And guess what? The actor that plays Tim in the movie is a devout Catholic, while Tim Ballard is a devout Mormon, as well as a strong believer that making our borders stricter will decrease human trafficking. But that doesn't matter, because according to Tim, one of the leading causes of human trafficking is the woke left agenda.
It's the woke left agenda. I'm not saying that they're colluding or talking. It doesn't matter. It's the same dark source. And they are pedophiles are sitting back right now going, we've been pushing this agenda for decades.
And with that belief comes all kinds of homophobic and transphobic statements that people like Tim believe and think that the government is trying to push. Like how the new Barbie movie is feminist propaganda because all the Barbies have different Barbie names, but all the Kens are just named Ken.
There are a number of Barbie characters in the movie. Right? One plays President Barbie, one plays Dr. Barbie, one plays a Barbie with a Nobel Prize in physics, one is a mermaid Barbie. However, all the male characters in Barbie world are simply called Ken. So it's pretty clear where this movie is going. This is an assault on not just Ken, but all men.
Yes, all men are under attack. Please go hide in your bunkers and don't come back out. Jim Caviezel, the actor that plays Tim, he's also played God, so I'm sure he has one hell of an ego.
Start with Donald Trump. What do you mean? Well, he's got to be in there because he's going to go after the traffickers. This is the new Moses. I mean, I'm still Jesus, but he's the new Moses.
He's an avid QAnon supporter and has spoken at multiple QAnon conventions, a few of which Tim has attended. Doing press for this film, he has also spread those beliefs by talking about adrenochrome.
Either making the adrenochrome and also for making agents to, kill people. They can get my DNA code and create a cocktail, put it off in an airplane, and I'm the only one that dies of a heart attack in the plane.
Which Jim thinks that Democrats are taking from children to make themselves younger. This conspiracy is not only fucking ridiculous, but also rooted in anti-Semitic beliefs. And then we get to Tim's organization, OUR, or Operation Underground Railroad. Now, they did let go of Tim for conflicting issues between them. There isn't anything explicit that's been revealed, but one can assume that the constant spread of misinformation may have to do with it. But even the organization that is founded on the grounds of fighting human trafficking is a little fishy. It makes sense that a lot of people want to donate their money to an organization like OUR. They have a very selfless goal and seem to be trying to make a change that a lot of people aren't able to do themselves. So they take in a lot of money. And when you look at where that money goes, well, it's a little hard to track. In 2021, the organization took in more than $42 million. In that same year, 2021, the organization spent only about $31 million on its work of allegedly rescuing sex trafficking victims. The year before, 2020, the numbers are even more strange. OUR took in $45 million, but only spent $13.5 million. It had a whopping $33.9 million in profit. And all this information is public. You can access it on your own. In fact, I'm going to cite all my sources, so if you're interested about a fact that I say, you can go and see where I got it. Almost $34 million in profit, and it's nowhere to be found. There are also a lot of reports of this organization not taking the proper precautionary steps when doing things like raids. OUR has been known for its jump raids to extract sex trafficking victims around the world, allegedly led by highly trained personnel. But Vice News uncovered situations in which training for the missions was lax or non-existent, and where it said the charity seemed to be more focused on gaining promotional footage than rescuing victims. In fact, in one particular case, there was a search for a Haitian American boy near the Haiti-Dominican Republic border. Turns out that that mission was guided by a psychic in Utah because they, I guess, thought that they were children being held there. And, well, the mission was unsuccessful. I guess that goes to show maybe don't trust a psychic to save children. I don't know. Besides unsuccessful missions, OUR had also lied about a few. OUR had exaggerated its domestic rescue work and its role in freeing a survivor named Liliana, whom officials said actually escaped on her own. Their whole basis seems to be really interesting because they seem to be feeding into the American notion of the perfect victim when it comes to human trafficking. Annie Fukushima, an associate professor in the ethnic studies division in the School for Cultural and Social Transformation at the University of Utah, told Vice News that they're seen as an ideal, one that will allow entry into the US. The ones who don't fit into that perfect ideal are seen as criminal and deportable and ineligible for the resources that you should have access to. The standards for being seen as a victim are incredibly high. So that's why when I see a trailer for a movie starring a white man with blue eyes, I get a little suspicious. The white savior complex is just as ignorant as it is self-righteous, hating immigrants and people that cross the border as criminals and traffickers when in 2020, 63% of the people that were charged with a trafficking offense were white and male. That's why I don't want to support this movie. Not because I support human trafficking, but because I don't want to watch a biased and harmful portrayal that also acts as a dog whistle for Christian conservatives to make up conspiracies and treat immigrants as criminals. But I know that if I don't watch the movie, I'm gonna have people telling me that my opinion doesn't matter. So I'm gonna watch the movie. I didn't want to buy a ticket, but thankfully and kind of scarily, so many people want to raise awareness for this movie that they've built a system where you can pay it forward and people can pay for your ticket. So someone paid for my ticket, so I didn't have to pay. Again, it's kind of scary that so many people want other people to see it, but I didn't have to pay, so. But I refuse to give the people that are gonna be watching this movie in the same theater as me the opportunity to hate crime me. So I need to assimilate. And I know exactly how to do that. You see, I've lived in the South my whole life. In fact, growing up, I thought I was white. I used to think my hair was straight. I would wear Sperry's. I made fun of my own culture because other people thought it was funny. I watched Friends. It was bad. But now I have a reason to channel that energy back. And honestly, I kind of miss it. I know I do the country accent as a lot, but it feels natural. And honestly, it feels more like me than anything else ever has before. This accent feels less like a joke now and more like who I am.
Somebody better come along. We can take it outside. We're about to
Alright, so I just arrived at Movie Land. I am a tad late, so I need to be hurrying up so I can get in there and see this whole thing. I do have to see, I feel pretty confident in my disguise right now. I feel pretty undercover. And it feels less like method acting and more like I'm not even acting. Like this is who I really am at heart, you know? So let's go see this gosh darn movie, am I right? So I thought I was gonna be fine. Turns out I was really anxious and afraid to use this accent in public, because it was also really thick and obviously fake. So I got nervous at the cashier and she just had no idea what was going on. Hey there, how's it going? I'm gonna do just one icy Coke and then a, can I do the Sour Patch watermelon, please?
Would I be up here?
Yeah, that's all.
Is the line, you pay with cash or card?
I'm gonna do card today.
Card?
Yeah.
Would you like a receipt?
I'm all good.
All right, and from the movie.
Thank you so much, appreciate it. Jesus Christ, oh my God. And also, aside from that, I'm pretty sure that's the same cashier that helped me last time, which is so funny that she already knows me or might know of me.
Icy?
Yeah, icy Coke. And she probably doesn't remember me having a country accent if she does remember me at all. So this all must be very strange for her. Anyway, I went to go see the movie and I noticed that the theater they had us in was weirdly all the way in the back. This is fucking ridiculous. At the back of the theater, I am appalled right now. And that was just the start. As I sat down in the theater, an advertisement played, and it wasn't even a trailer. It was Jake from State Farm. How did they know that he is my arch nemesis? This is... They don't want me to see the movie that badly that they put Jake from State Farm? I was fuming, I tell you. But I sat down and I sucked it up. And I watched the film. I really didn't have to watch that movie. You guys are so lucky that I want to be a reliable source for information. Otherwise, I wouldn't have watched. It was a perfectly adequate film. The acting was fine. The cinematography was fine. The pacing was drawn out. It was just so depressing and upsetting. It felt like that's what its purpose was, like it's supposed to be rage bait. All of my thoughts and issues with this movie still stands, but the big thing for me is why? What's the point? You're making people upset and distraught from watching this movie, but what are you doing about it? What can we do about it? All of the money that this movie makes is straight up profit. None of it goes to charity or any organization of any kind. So if you're not doing anything, then what's the point? We know human trafficking is an issue, like many other bad things. Hell, CST is such a specific branch of human trafficking. Human trafficking is such a massive umbrella term that this movie never once defines. Not just children are trafficked, but also adults, and not just for sex, but also for labor, not to even mention the prison industrial complex and free prison labor. This movie is pointless and performative at best. It is emotional manipulation used to rile up an audience, and then that audience has nowhere to direct that anger. Oh, but then they turn on Fox News and it's telling them that gay and trans people are grooming children, so boom, they found their target. Or they turn on a Jim Caviezel interview and start blaming the Democrats. It's the same old game of liberal versus conservative, with either side trying to stir up controversy to get clicks. It isn't even like this is a documentary about human trafficking. It's a drama that's about a very specific instance that we don't even know how much of is real. Hell, it's no different than Taken 1, 2, or 3. Except at the end, when you're all emotional, they throw vague and skewed talking points at you. Like, there is more slavery today than at any other point in history. And this is where they get you with the dog whistles, because they never mention that modern slavery is a lot different than historical slavery. Yes, there are more slaves than ever before, but they are a much smaller proportion of the human race. During the 1800s, in the time of the Atlantic slave trade, there were 1 billion people on Earth. Now there are 8 billion people. That's 8 times as much. So, and then after a few more quotes, the main actor, Jim Caviezel, hopped on screen in a very, very dramatic setting. In fact, it was so dramatic that it almost felt satirical. And he basically just talked about how the movie didn't have a big budget, so they couldn't advertise like they wanted to. So if you could spread the word and get more people into the theater, then you'd be doing your part in spreading awareness for human trafficking. This isn't for us, it's for the kids.
Oh, you're giving money to the kids?
Nah.
So it is for you.
No, it's for the kids. But at the same time, we shouldn't be getting upset at the people watching this movie and falling for the manipulation. That's what they want. We should be getting upset at the people that are creating this emotional manipulation. I'm tired of playing this game of liberal versus conservative. Why can't we all just be centrists? What? Come on. I don't understand what you're so afraid of. Why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing my mind. Just a little. So why don't you just meet me in the middle? In the middle. So liberals and conservatives, why don't you just meet me in the middle? I'm losing my mind just a little. So why don't you just meet me in the middle? In the middle.